In transport of oxygen, first we'll discuss about hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, it consists of iron and globin. Iron here present in Fe2 plus state. It is a quaternary structure. It consists of 4 subunits, 2 alpha and 2 beta chains. Okay. So binding of hemoglobin and oxygen is a reversible process. So hemoglobin plus oxygen, it gives rise to oxyhemoglobin, which is formed at the lungs. The reversal is happening at the tissues. Some numbers here. One molecule of hemoglobin can bind with 4 oxygen molecules. It's not atom, it is 4 oxygen molecule. And 1 gram of hemoglobin binds to 1.34 ml of oxygen. Normal hemoglobin in adult male it is 14 to 16 gram per deciliter, and for female it is 12 to 14 gram per deciliter. So now we are going to see the ODC curve, oxygen dissociation curve. Okay, see the left axis and the right axis in this graph. Okay, so see the x-axis and y-axis. Okay, so x-axis it is a partial pressure of oxygen, nothing but PO2 is here. Okay, and on the y-axis it is a percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen. Okay, so saturation means you all know it, the whatever receptors are available that are completely occupied. Okay, this ODC curve is a sigmoid curve. Unlike linear graph, it is going to end at some point. Okay, so it's a sigmoid curve. Sigmoid curve means it's a shaped curve and it's going to get flattened at some point. That is a point of saturation. Okay, now we'll come to the graph. Okay, see at 20 millimeters of mercury, nearly 30% of hemoglobin is saturated with hemoglobin. Okay, so what is the pressure at which the hemoglobin is saturated with 50% of oxygen? It is here. Okay, it is here. So the point at which 50% of hemoglobin is saturated with oxygen is this point, isn't it? So we'll draw the line here. It corresponds to, this is called P50. P50 is nothing but percentage of hemoglobin saturated, 50% of hemoglobin saturated with oxygen. That is called P50. P50 corresponds to 28 millimeters of mercury. This is very important. Now I'm going to draw one more sigmoid curve parallel to this curve. Okay, parallel to this sigmoid curve. See here, I'm going to draw here now. Okay, so this is the left side and this is the right side. So this is called, now the line I drew is on the right side of the sigmoid curve, original sigmoid curve, isn't it? This is called a right side shift of the curve. Okay, now see this graph. We'll compare this graph. One is a red graph, that is the original sigmoid curve, and another one is a blue curve. Okay, so now which curve is, according to you, which curve is more efficient for hemoglobin binding with the oxygen, whether it is a red curve or blue curve? Okay, so blue curve is a right side shift of the ODC curve. Okay, so see here, the most efficient one obviously here is a red curve. Why? Because here, see, now we'll just compare, like we'll take any one pressure. Okay, so 50% of hemoglobin saturated with the original red curve is here, isn't it? Around 28 millimeters of mercury. What about here? What about the second curve? Just see the second curve here. Here is a line. It is approximately around 35 to 40 millimeters of mercury. So there is more pressure needed for the blue curve, where 50% of hemoglobin gets saturated with oxygen, when compared to the original red curve, that is around 58 millimeters of mercury. So P50 for red curve is 28, and P50 for the blue curve which we drew on the right side, that is around 38. Okay, so this is the right side shift of the curve. First we'll understand the concept, then we'll go into the factors which causes the right side shift of the curve. Okay, so this is very, very important. Whenever the curve is getting shifted to the right side, hemoglobin binding with the oxygen is more and more it will get more and more difficult. Okay, so the formation of oxyhemoglobin is affected here whenever the curve is shifted to the right side. This is very, very important. Okay, now I drew another curve on the left side of the original curve. Now compare this diagram and tell me, now among these three, which is more efficient in binding of hemoglobin with the oxygen? Okay, again we'll take we know the P50 value of both the red curve and the blue color curve. now we will take the P50 of the green color curve. The P50 will be here, isn't it? So this is the P50 here. It corresponds to approximately near 20 millimeters of mercury. So P50 for this left side shift of the curve, it is near to, so we'll consider it as 80 millimeters of mercury. This is not the original value, but this is the original value. This is very important. Okay, nearest value. That is our question. Okay, these, for example, I discuss these things. Okay, so left side curve is more efficient here than the original OD and that original red color curve than the blue color curve. So now I hope you all understood the left and right side shift of the ODC curve. Okay, so I said this point right. On the blue side curve, the formation of oxyhemoglobin is more difficult. So oxyhemoglobin is more difficult on blue color curve. Okay, what about the left side shift? In left side shift, the oxyhemoglobin, that is HBO formation, is way easy. Okay, so that is the left side and right side shift of the curve. So see here, right side shift, oxyhemoglobin will be decreased, and left side shift, oxyhemoglobin will be increased. You just think, where oxyhemoglobin will be formed more, lungs or tissues? Obviously it is lungs, isn't it? So left side shift happens at lungs. Okay, and right side shift, where oxyhemoglobin will be decreased? Obviously it is at the tissue level. So right side shift happens at the tissue level. These are very basic points. Okay, no need to memorize anything, just we will now I'll tell you the explanations why it is happening here. Okay, see now some basic correlations. Okay, so whenever there is more oxygen in one place, in that area, carbon dioxide will be less. Whenever there is more oxygen in one area, one part, in that area, carbon dioxide will be less at that moment of time. It is less, isn't it? Whenever there is more oxygen at one area, the carbon dioxide in that area will be decreased. Whenever carbon dioxide is decreased, H plus ion also will be reduced. They both are directly proportional, and O2 and CO2 are inversely proportional.